Hi, it's Peter Sun, the Real Estate Renegade, and for 40 years I've bought, I've sold, I've renovated, and I've subdivided. I've made money and I've lost money. And now I'm helping everyday Australians with all sorts of real estate problems. From the latest market updates, closing major deals, discovering and showing you real estate opportunities and boom suburbs you may want to look at. We're going to meet real people, experienced real estate experts, and talk about hard-hitting real estate issues affecting Australians right now. Join me and dive deep into uncovering hot deals and opportunities in a country considered and possessing some of the most expensive real estate in the world. I'm Peter Sun, the Real Estate Renegade, exposing the truth about real estate. Hey guys, Peter Sun here with another video on the property markets around Australia and the opportunities that are available. Now, again, I've been following the trends and what's been written out there about what the market is performing like. And if we look at, say April 2016 and what the markets are doing around Australia, well, some people are predicting there's going to be a crash, especially the overseas people, by the way. And I remember the last time, about 10 years ago, we had these bloody people coming out from America, where it's a totally different market, right? It's a totally different, regulation. I mean, in America, the rules are that, if you default on your loan, you simply walk away from the house and you hand back the keys, and that's it. Your obligations are finished. None of that exists in Australia. So of course, we don't have these massive ups and downs because our fundamentals are way better than in those markets. So whilst there's been all these predictions happening, let's have a look at what has actually happened in the last 12 months. And based on the reports from like RP Data, which is the company that manages all the sales around the country and tracks each property and who bought it and how much for and so on, then we'll look at that, Sydney has had a 7.4 increase still in the last 12 months. And yes, prices have eased off now. Melbourne is still running hot at 9.8% increase in the last 12 months. Brisbane 4.5%, you've got Adelaide 3.2%, Perth's actually fallen 2% in the last 12 months because they've already gone up to the top and they've come off a little bit. Hobart is 4.8%, Darwin's gone back 1.8% over the last 12 months. Canberra's grown by 1.7%, and the combined catalyst is 6.4% in the last 12 months, which is still above the yearly average of 5%. Now, Sydney has had obviously an absolute boom time. Since 2012, when the last kind of downturn was there, property values have gone up by over 49%, 49.2%, I believe. So that's been a pretty stellar growth, and Melbourne is not far behind. But I can tell you what happens in Australia, and this is something I learned years ago when I was still a young pup, and I was married to a girl whose father was a huge property developer. And he always followed the Australian real estate cycle. So he always said, look, if Melbourne's had a run, Sydney's had a run, Brisbane's going to have a run. Hobart's going to have a run. Because the property values tend to adjust, as one city starts, then the other cities will catch up to even it up. And there's always a difference, obviously, like Sydney prices are always the most expensive. Melbourne is probably the close second and so on. Right? So there's still going to be those differences, but they are going to go up. And even like a regional market like the Gold Coast, I've seen it time and time again. The prices stay flat, 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 and then 2 or 3 years, bang, you see a 40% increase in 3 years. And all of the growth is concentrated into those bursts of property. And there is some telltale signs that we teach you in some of our programs on how to look for those signs. But this is the basics of what is happening. You can actually see what is happening. And these reports are available for anybody to actually look at. And the reason why we don't have a bubble yet is actually if you look at the Australian change in dwellings over the last 10 years. So if we average the last 10 years, this is again according to these RP Data figures, right, is across all the capitals, the average growth, right, in the past 10 years is only 5.4%, right? Canberra is like 3.7%. Right, the change in values. Darwin is only 5.6%, Hobart 1.4% positive, Adelaide 3.6%, Brisbane 3.6%, Melbourne 6.9%, and Sydney is 5.9%. You can see that there hasn't been any huge yearly growth in those markets when you average them out over the last 10 years. So there hasn't been any huge bubble that's been created where properties have doubled or tripled. Now, of course, within these figures, there is some areas and some opportunities where you can double or triple your property value from 10 years ago. And those have been situations like where, we've been teaching their strategy in some of our other videos, how property owners combine their properties and then on-sell to a developer, which increases the value of their properties by up to 50% or even more than that, right? Because it's worth more to a developer as a combined parcel of land. So there's those instances that are always the aberrations. And this is the stuff that we want to teach you, how to look for those opportunities that other people don't see, that are always out there, that can give you the extra market edge and the extra percentage increase. But as I said, the figures on fundamentals show that, the market certainly isn't isn't like a huge bubble like these overseas people are predicting. And at the moment, if you look at Sydney median house prices, they're like $805,000, which is 7.5% increase in the last 12 months, and unit prices are 645,000, which is a 7.3% increase over the last 12 months, and it's only a 1.6% vacancy rate. That's still pretty good fundamentals, right? And as I said, Sydney's had a bit of a fall off now, and that's because we've seen some stellar growth, as I said, 49.2% since 2012. So that's the kind of basic overview of the marketplace. Keep watching for some of our videos, and I'll see you on the next one. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and don't forget to tune in often for the latest property news, investment strategies, and much, much more. And also, speak to your business owner to see how you can get involved with us today. This is Peter Sun, the Real Estate Renegade, and I'll see you next time.